FAQs about magical fantasy Weigela. As someone who loves experimenting with unique plants in my garden, magical fantasy Weigela has become a standout favorite. Its vibrant variegated foliage and stunning pink blooms add a splash of color that turns heads. Here, I'll dive into some of the most common questions I've come across regarding the care, propagation, and growth of Weigela magical fantasy, especially if you're in warmer climates like Florida or gardening in Zone 10. What is magical fantasy Weigela? Magical fantasy Weigela is a variety of the Weigela shrub, known for its stunning variegated leaves and pink trumpet-shaped flowers. The leaves have a unique combination of green and creamy white, creating a striking contrast in any garden. The plant typically blooms in spring, and with proper care, it can provide a secondary bloom in the summer. One of the reasons I love this variety is its manageable size. Magical fantasy Weigela typically grows to about 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, making it perfect for smaller gardens or as a decorative border shrub. Its compact nature means you can enjoy all the beauty of a larger flowering shrub without taking up too much space. How to take care of a Weigela magical fantasy. Taking care of a Weigela magical fantasy is relatively straightforward, which is part of its appeal. Here's what I've learned from my experience. Sunlight. This plant thrives in full sun to partial shade. If you want the best flower production and vibrant foliage, I found that giving it at least 6 hours of direct sunlight works best. However, in hotter climates like Zone 10, providing some afternoon shade can prevent leaf scorch. Watering. Magical fantasy Weigela prefers consistently moist soil, but it's important to avoid waterlogging. I usually water it deeply once a week, ensuring that the soil is well draining. During hotter months or in Florida's warm climate, you might need to water more frequently, especially if your plant is in a sunny location. Soil. Well-draining soil is a must for Weigela magical fantasy. I like to mix organic compost into the soil to improve drainage and provide nutrients. It's not too fussy about soil pH, so neutral to slightly acidic soil works fine. Fertilizer. I've noticed that my magical fantasy Weigela responds well to a balanced fertilizer in the spring. I typically use a slow-release formula to encourage healthy growth and vibrant blooms. Over-fertilizing can lead to excessive foliage growth at the expense of flowers, so be mindful of that. Pruning. Pruning is essential for maintaining the plant's shape and encouraging more blooms. I usually prune after the first bloom in spring. Removing dead or crossing branches helps air circulation and keeps the plant looking tidy. Does magical fantasy Weigela grow in Florida? Yes. Magical fantasy Weigela can grow in Florida. I've had success growing it in my own garden, and the key is finding the right balance between sun, shade, and moisture. The variegated leaves and pink flowers add a beautiful touch to Florida gardens, and the compact size makes it easy to incorporate into various landscape designs. I've found that it pairs well with other sun-loving plants that can handle the Florida heat, like lantana, salvia, and certain types of ornamental grasses. You can also plant it alongside other flowering shrubs, like hydrangeas or hibiscus, to create a colorful, layered effect in your garden. How to propagate Weigela magical fantasy. If you want to expand your collection of magical fantasy Weigela, propagation is fairly simple. The most successful method I've used is taking softwood cuttings in the late spring or early summer. Here's my step-by-step guide. Cutting. Choose a healthy branch and cut a 4 to 6 inch section just below a leaf node. Make sure the cutting is softwood, not too old or too new. Preparation. Remove the lower leaves, leaving just a few at the top. Dip the cut end in rooting hormone to encourage faster root development. Planting. Plant the cutting in a pot filled with well-draining potting mix. Keep the soil moist, but not soggy. Environment. I keep my cuttings in a warm, humid environment. If you don't have a greenhouse, covering the pot with a plastic bag can create a mini greenhouse effect. Care. After a few weeks, the cutting should start developing roots. Once established, you can transplant it to your garden or a larger pot. What to plant with Weigela magical fantasy. When it comes to companion planting, I like to pair my magical fantasy Weigela with plants that complement its colorful foliage and blooms. Ornamental grasses add a nice texture contrast, while flowering perennials like coneflowers or black-eyed Susans bring a pop of color that pairs beautifully with the pink flowers of the Weigela. Hostas are another great option if you want to add some greenery and contrast. Final thoughts. Magical Fantasy Weigela is a stunning and easy-to-care-for plant that adds elegance to any garden. Whether you're in a cooler climate or a warmer zone like Florida, with a little attention to sunlight, water, and pruning, this shrub will reward you with beautiful blooms and striking foliage year after year. If you're looking to add a touch of magic to your landscape, this variety is worth considering.